Hey guys, Awakatone Borike here. Welcome to this video. Like, share, and subscribe. I'm about to hit the 2,000 subscriber mark. So do everything in your power to help this channel. Like, share, subscribe, do this, do that. Get crazy with all that stuff. So with that being said, I'm gonna show you some results that pertain Native American ethnicities because I didn't acquire Genome Link as a DNA test. I had acquired other test, which was Ancestry DNA. These tests have a feature where you can upload your raw DNA file. So that's what I did. I uploaded my raw DNA file to Genome Link, and as of that upload, this company Genome Link says that I'm about 27% or higher Native American. Later on to this video, I can tell you why, but here we can see that I got the message today at 3:31 a.m. I saw the results just one time, so I'm gonna act a bit like it's a reaction video, but it's not really a reaction video. Here we see the message where it says that my Indigenous American report is ready. So I had uploaded my raw file to this company, Genome Link, and then I acquired a service which is a report. See that it says check report? It's because this company had a whole bunch of reports. One is a European breakdown, one is a Viking DNA report, one is etc, 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 and it happens to have one is Asian. One of them is an Asian report. So what I mean by that is that other than just showing you and displaying the summary of your ethnicity results and where do you exactly come from through the percentages, they also have this type of service where they analyze some of your ethnicities. In my case, they are identifying that I am Native American, well, partially, and that I can get this report. So I acquired the report last night, probably like at 12. So I acquired this report last night, and then I received it at 3:31. It says Genome Link, your Indigenous American report is ready. Your Indigenous American report is ready. Check out your DNA report now. So let's check that report. Genome Link. So that being said, let's check the Native American report. Remember that I am Puerto Rican. I'm from Puerto Rico. We have a whole bunch of ethnicities within our ancestry, within our DNA. But in the end, all of those compositions are what makes me Puerto Rican. Whether it's Portuguese, Spanish, Taino, which is the natives, or whether it's African ancestry or Guanche, which is North African. Well, all of that is what a Puerto Rican is the composition of a Puerto Rican. But one of the main compositions that Puerto Ricans always used to have as one of the highest compositions is the Boricua, is the Taino indigenous ancestry. With all the immigrations that we have received, you can still see that my indigenous ancestry is still around the 20%, and this company says it's higher than 27%. So that's some pretty cool stuff. So that just tells you that Puerto Ricans are actually Native American. They have that. They have it. It's part of our ancestry. You cannot say anything about that. And that's it. Like, if I have 27% indigenous ancestry, then my great grandmother or my great, we have great grandmothers that are pure Taino that eventually got married with some Europeans. And this is recent. We thought it was like, we thought it was like 400 years ago. No, these mixtures were still happening. To the more modern era. Let's say 1900s. You had Taino women roaming around. You had Taino villages. We call them barrios, but we still had them because that's what our DNA also indicates. So let's check this report. So as I go into the report and I click, we see that the first one says South Andes, Patagonia. Okay, so I don't know what does this mean, but for sure it means that a high level and degree of the indigenous Taino ancestry, well, may come from southern Andes and the Patagonia, Andino. Herencia andina, lo ande. Well, partially of them is here from the south, and part of them is also from the north. I'm still gonna hold myself into what I think about the genetics of the southern Andes. I'm gonna still hold myself, but you can get some clues with the way and the shape that this lady in particular has her nose, and it brings to me a whole bunch of ideas. But but for now, let's keep moving. But this is pretty interesting that Southern Andes ancestry. There's definitely a movement. Look, if you can see my finger, genetics has a movement that goes from like here, and then it keeps moving from here, from here, from here, from here. It reaches Suriname, Guyana Francesa, and Guyana, and then it goes to Puerto Rico. Like this was like 400 years ago, 300 years ago. But that's just food for thought. Let's go to the next one. Would I have thought that I had so much of this Southern Andes? No. Like, what the heck? Get out of here with that stuff. Stop yanking my chain. Stop yanking my chain. Like, who really would have thought that I would have had this type of ancestry?
You gotta be yanking my chain. Forget about it.
From the south of the Andes. That's very far. So, but it still makes sense. So let's move to the next one. This one says 6.6%. That could be a really high number depending on how you view it. So Andino, that's one of my ethnicities. That's pretty cool. Move on. Mayans. Look at that. That's amazing. I knew this. There's tests that have told me, like for instance, GetMatch tells me that I share affinity with Mayans. These are about some of the first people that. This is like the second migration into the Americas. These type of people. These type of people who are Mayans. The Mayans were Siberians. If you don't wanna put the connection, let's do it right now. Mayans are the Siberians, the Asiatic Siberian Eurasians that came. It was always many waves of people that came, but principalmente, we have the Mayan faction, which should be also very similar to the Olmec faction. especially in time and location, because this is where the Mayans were at, right here, and that's how Mayans reached Puerto Rico. That's how I'm partially Mayan, because that's where they reached. They also went down this route because Mayans share the ancestry with a whole bunch of Siberians, Paleo Siberians, not Neo Siberians. These are Paleo Siberians. They have dark skin and they have Asiatic features. But when they got here, they mixed with the people and they almost ended their ancestry as well. Because apparently they had like a war when they met each other. Well, that's in reality that's really crazy that they would have such terrible war instead of just mixing equally. They didn't mix equally. They the natives that came from Siberia, well, it seems that they killed most of the Juxtanites. Juxtanites are very dark and have curly hair. They may have high cheekbones or almond eyes, maybe, but are not extremely Asiatic, but are similar to Austronesian and the Papuans. But these are very ancient lineages that share ancestry with Kushites. The same may be said with India, with South India, and all of that region of Southeast Asia, all the way up to maybe parts of the Arabian Gulf. And that's just how it is. The darker type of skin types is related to this type of ancestry and come from Asia. That's where you get all those negritos and all of those peoples that are actually negroid. For instance, the Sentinelese and now, yeah. So there we have it. Soy Maya. I'm partially Mayan. I'm more Andino than Mayan. Oh shoot, sorry. I'm more Andino than Mayan, but however, remember that Mayan, that's a very old, one of the oldest cultures and one of the oldest peoples from this region. So that's pretty cool. Now we know that a Mayan, Andean, Mayan, it seems Taino we're actually pretty mixed. And I think it's for various reasons. So what's this next one? What is that? Let's go check it out. Amazon. Whoa. So I come from the Amazon. I am partially maybe Yanomami or something like that. Who knows? But what exactly is this? The Tupi branch? The Hibaro branch? What exactly is this? The people that were there and then ended up in Puerto Rico from Venezuela through El Rio Orinoco. I'm not sure, but it seems it's 2.7%. The Mayan was 3.5%. So there might be this could be, this could easily this could easily be a marriage between a faction that used to be part of the Mayans and a faction that used to be part of the Amazon, because of how the numbers are so similar. It's probably intermarriage between tribes. So I'm not sure, but this one makes total sense because we're so near it. The Amazon and Venezuela, Colombia, Arahuaco maybe, and Ayeri maybe, but I'm not totally sure about that. They're just the same. But here we see how they are so genetically diverse. So what's this next one? What's this next one? I'm so curious. Okay, this photo is obviously from a movie, right? That's like from a movie. So they got this image from a movie. It's crazy stuff. So what's this next one? Okay, Amazon. I'm Amazonian too. Amazonian man. So what's this next one? Northern Andes. Oh, not just the south, baby, but also the north parts of the Andes form part of my heritage. So I told you about the first one where I think that there was a culture maybe related to the Caritiana that moved this way. You see my fingers, and this is Puerto Rico. This is where I come from, Puerto Rico, mi isla, la isla del encanto. You see my fingers? You see Rapa Nui right now? I mean, I'm not sure. I'm kidding. I'm not sure if that's Rapa Nui. I'm just kidding. Okay, but like I was saying, there was a culture that is that they might have a ties to the Caritiana. So Austronesians and Polynesians and Papuans in waves, they came in through here, and genetic haplogroup and eventually stayed among our people, which is haplogroup C. The haplogroup of Puerto Ricans. When I talk about Puerto Ricans, I talk about the indigenous Taino. We don't have them because most of them are dead, but we have seen some samples. I forgot where I left the samples of so much information that I have in my phones and in my in my equipment and my little stuff, gadgets. But I eventually read that this ancestry, which is haplogroup C, okay, all of America is Q. Most of it is Q. But how come the natives of Puerto Rico were haplogroup C? That's something that you have to think through and say, okay, so there's something different happening here. Look, something different. What was happening in Puerto Rico, something that wasn't happening here in La República, en Quiqueya, in La República Dominicana. It wasn't happening in Cuba, and it wasn't happening in Mexico or in most of these places. Some of this ancestry, you can still trace it in one of these regions over here, from north south America. So they probably brought some of that northern Andes ancestry. If not, it's okay. If this is not from that type of event, of genetic event from maybe the 1300s or 1200s, then this is just slavery, because you have to remember that the Taino were slaves. Some people are like, oh, I have African ancestry, but the slaves are not only the Africans. Our Taino were even worse. Were the first slaves of the Americas were the indigenous Taino. And then they died, and now you only recognize Africans. That's one of my things. That's why I'm so concerned. Why wouldn't you recognize? And you have so much right of having this ancestry that is African. I have it too. But then you don't feel the same way about the indigenous peoples. The indigenous peoples are not only the first slaves, first than the Africans that came from Africa, but they own the land. That's one thing that you have to understand, and a whole bunch of people have to respect that. That if I say, oh, I respect the Taino, and then, oh, but you have to like look upon your African ancestry. Millions and billions already do, so you don't have to bother me with that. You do your thing, and I do my thing, and I respect the Taino ancestry, not only because they were slaves, the first true slaves of America, and then died. No, but their legacy continues through my blood, through my heritage, through my ancestry. It continues. Why? Because they are my family. So a whole bunch of people criticize oh, why you wanna, be indigenous when you can, be African, and because of all the things they went through. Taino went through it the worst. It's their house, it's their home, and in their home they made you slaves. They made them slaves. Like people don't really understand that. Africans, they can multiply. Taino, they're practically dead. So why are you debating me? I know I'm off topic, but why would people debate me when it's obvious that the Taino and the indigenous people of Puerto Rico are the ones that should have all the recognition? They defended themselves against the Spanish. Africans didn't. They did some things, but not like the Taino. The Taino gave their bodies to their families, to their women. They sacrificed their lives. They didn't care. They were like, "Oh, we're gonna die to protect you," and that's what they did. So people should respect that. And if you don't know that, don't be surprised if I delete your comments. If I don't like your comment or something, and I go like, "Piss off, brother," or something like that. Come on, man. Respect culture. This is a community. I don't only bring forth information just because I want to serve you. No, this is information of a community that is serving culture and traditions. That is not something that is going to change and change and change. It's something that, that it has a way of being, and if we keep changing it, we may lose the value of our ancestry and our heritage and our patrimony and our nationality. It was just a little rant that I just wanted to throw there in the middle of this video. So this one says 2.5. It could be slave. I'm gonna be honest. It could be slave, but I'm not totally sure. But of all the things that we know, what this type of Northern Andes 2.5, it could be some type of a slave from the 1500s. Now let's move on to the next one. What is this? Mesoamerica. I know. Sorry. Central. Sorry. I accidentally skipped, and it says that I'm 1.7% Central America. So I don't know what to think about these. Like this one said Mesoamerica. Look how different natives look abroad. And then people think they are the same peoples. That's crazy. They're not the same peoples. So look, Central America and then Mesoamerica. So I got some of the Mexica ancestry within my genetics, and I got some of the much more. I don't know how this one is called. Cacaupera. Man. Mezquito. Mezquito. So estos son los mezquitos y estos son los mexicas. And these are the what? So 0.8% of Mesoamerica. These are Siberians too. These are Siberians, but these formed into the Mexica and the Tolteca and the Zapotec. Los Zapoteco. I believe this is what they are referring to, that type of ancestry that became Nahuatl. That ancestry that became the Aztecs, which are the Mexica. Son los Mexica. So that's what I think of what this is. Next one. No, sorry. Okay, so these ones, they say 0%, but I think this is where it ends. But I don't think that this is exactly where it ends, because other tests have also identified how I also come from the Arctic. I also come from these sort of places. This is Greenwich, from that part of the world. How is it called? I forgot how it's called, but in smaller degrees, I believe that these companies, it says 0%, but it's identifying alleles from the SMPs, from the chromosome. They have the SNPs. Well, they are identifying alleles that come from Arctic islands, Aleutian, plains, and eastern woodlands. That's pretty interesting. Wow, what the heck? And we go back to, oh, and the Sonoran Desert, which I've had tests. For instance, GetMatch has had traced some of my indigenous ancestry to the Pima people, and the Pima people just so happen to be part of this western part of California, of the long stretch of California. That's where these indigenous people come from, like the Pima, and they also carry strong Arctic DNA, because these are Neo-Siberians that came from, this was recent, and these are Neo-Siberians that came from, from Neo-Siberia. That means that they are not Paleo-Siberian, they are Neo-Siberian. They are mixed and then mixed and mixed and mixed, and then they became Neo-Siberian, and then it's the modern era, because Paleo-Siberians, that's so long ago. If we say Paleo-Siberian, paleo, like literally paleo, dinosaur type of people, of how old this was. So I'm reaching the end of this video. This was interesting to see. I know that you liked it. Tell me your, I'm from Puerto Rico, I'm Boricua, I'm Taino. This is funny, funny enough. This is not saying indigenous Puerto Rico. It's probably that the composition of indigenous Puerto Rico come from a cluster of these many different types of places, and that's pretty odd. That's pretty weird. But it could be just the way that they classify how an indigenous Puerto Rican, or what is the composition and how does it go about. They come from this place, they come from that place, and this place, and then that's what makes Puerto Rican Taino. That's pretty interesting, but I think that some of them, I'm just gonna right off the bat, I try to identify which are the main ethnicities that should compose Puerto Rican Taino de Puerto Rico, Taino de Puerto Rico, and it should be maybe this Mayan ancestry should be from the original Taino. Let's see what else. Amazon, maybe. Some of that Mesoamerica, maybe, and let's see what else should be from the Amazon, Mesoamerica. I keep skipping it, man. It's so sensitive. Maybe this, but I'm not sure. I think Amazon and Mayans are what should be original Taino ancestry. But that being said, like, share, and subscribe. I hope you liked this video reaction. I just bought this. It costed me like $20 for this report. Sorry. For this report, I bought it with the tarjeta. and I wanted to share it with you guys like I just did. So I hope you liked that video. I had fun. I did a little rant. I spoke about what should be the original indigenous Taino Boricua ancestry. If you see me in my physique, I don't look like I come from Spain. I look like I come from maybe Central Asia, and like maybe parts of I'm not sure, but I do look like I come from Central Asia. Maybe some Turk nation with some dark. Sorry. So I look like I come from like a Turk nation, but with like a little bit of the darker skin, because some of these Turk nations have like the lighter skin. So I kind of look like a Turk with darker skin, but that's from our indigenous Taino, that's from our Arawak, that's from our Boricua, that's from my indigenous ancestry. I've spoken to a whole bunch of people. For instance, I've spoken to Serbians. They don't say, "Oh, you don't look Spanish. You look like you come from where you come from, Latino." And then I mean, I mean indigenous. And then a whole bunch of people have put me in Central Asia, in India. That's all pretty interesting things, because the mixture of the indigenous people, which is high, it's high DNA ancestry within my ancestry, and that's how it's showing my phenotype. That's how I appear. I appear like if I was some sort of Indian or something, but I really don't have nothing from India. It's literally that I have the indigenous ancestry mixed with the Spanish and the Portuguese and some just a little bit of African. My hair is straight but wavy, so it's very flowy. So from that being said, you know that from this video, you know that Puerto Ricans have a lot of Eurasian DNA, which comes from the indigenous Taino. I have it, you have it, we have it, we're Puerto Rican, we're Boricua, we have that. It's not something that I can just decide to have or not have. It's something that we just blatantly have. That's who we are. So that being said, I'll see you on the next video. This is Abaquetone Borique. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Y yo te veré en el próximo video.
These are part of my results, but were not included in the Native American report. But we know that are Taino.